Hello there, everybody. This is Mel Allen. In baseball, it's wise to expect the unexpected. Out-of-this-world occurrences all over the majors, as oddball bounces and offbeat bloopers make for some mighty peculiar plays. An exceptional hitter with rare talent writes an unusual story, surprising one and all with his unorthodox approach to the game. Weird, bizarre, strange, far-out words that apply to a far-out game that lasted until weird, bizarre, strange hours of the night. An extraordinary pitcher with uncommon ability shows that he's different from the rest in either league. So stay tuned for unconventional happenings that are off the wall on This Week in Baseball. National League drama. In Atlanta, a long night's journey into day. It was a rainy night in Georgia when the Mets and Braves began a wild and wacky affair. The rain caused 2 hours of delays, but the Mets wasted no time as they ignored the elements and took a 1-0 lead before the Braves even came to bat. From then on, you had to see this game to believe it. 7-4 Mets in the last of the 8th when the clock struck midnight, and Dale Murphy struck big. Murphy capped off a 4-run uprising with a 3-run double to give the Braves an 8-7 edge. Rookie Len Dykstra made sure the lead was short-lived when he batted with 2 on in the 9th and tied the score. The game then went into extra innings and sailed along until the 13th, when somewhere around 2 a.m., the Mets got a big boost from Howard Johnson. That ball is going, it is gone, and the Mets were up 10-8. With 2 out in their half of the inning, the Braves played a little long ball night music of their own when Terry Harper batted for the 7th time.
And the 0-2. There's a drive to left. If it's fair, it is fair. It's a tie ball game. Harper hit the foul pole.
But this epic was far from over. New York went ahead in the 18th, again pushing the Braves to the brink of defeat. Reliever Rick Camp had to bat, there being no pinch hitters left, and with 2 out, 2 strikes on Camp, well, you talk about the unexpected.
And he is at the deep left. Heat goes back. It is gone. Holy cow. Oh, my goodness. I don't believe it. That certifies this game as the wackiest, wildest, most improbable game in history.
Ha ha. Ray Knight reconfirmed that when he came up in the 19th. After stranding 10 runners earlier in the game, he doubled in the game winner. Ron Darling made a rare relief appearance and struck out Rick Camp on the 598th pitch, ending this 8-hour affair at 4 a.m. with a score 16-13. Keith Hernandez hit for the cycle in the game, a single, double, triple, and home run. And Keith continued his comeback from a lengthy slump when the Mets moved on to Cincinnati. In a 3-game sweep of the Reds, Hernandez hammered 2 more homers for a total of 13 RBIs in 9 games, as the surging Mets won 9 straight overall. Time now to feature Admiral Dewey Hoyt of the San Diego fleet. Dewey Lamar Hoyt is a major reason the ship-shaped Padres have navigated their way to the top of the West. In his first National League season, Hoyt has an ERA near 3, ranked 2nd in complete games with 8, and is 3rd in wins with 11, his last 9 coming in a row.
I'm throwing the ball right now as well as I ever have in my life. I'm as strong as I've ever been, and my endurance and everything else is just the best it's been. I do feel like this may be one of my better years ever.
Hoyt's best year was 1983 with the Chicago White Sox, when he went 24-10 to win the Cy Young Award as the Sox took the Western Division. Traded to San Diego after a disappointing 1984 season in which he posted a record of 13-18, Hoyt is once again at the top of his game, thanks in part to a year-round conditioning program.
I do use an elbow flexor machine during the off-season quite a bit, but during the season this year I've started using some weights, which is something I've never done before, and I've started this other conditioning program as far as my wind and heart rate, but I do feel a lot better, my arm and everything.
The fourth winningest pitcher in the majors since 1980, Hoyt is playing a key role in San Diego's bid for a second straight division crown.
This is one of the better teams I feel like I've seen in the last few years. They have every facet of the game covered. It's just an outstanding team. I'm really happy to have the opportunity to pitch for the Padres.
And now with the ballots in, let's look at the National League starting lineup for this year's All-Star game. In left field, the San Diego Padres' Tony Gwynn. In center, top vote getter Dale Murphy of Atlanta. In right, New York Met Darryl Strawberry. At first, another Padre, Steve Garvey. At second, Tommy Herr of St. Louis. At shortstop, teammate Ozzie Smith. At third, still another Padre, Greg Nettles. And catching, another Met, Gary Carter. The manager will be San Diego's Dick Williams. Now, let's open the notebook for This Week in Baseball's TWIB notes from around the National League. Houston's Dickie Thon is struggling to come back from an accidental beaning suffered at the start of last season, but he helped beat Montreal by hitting his first homer in 2 years, then drove in the game winner with a double. Keep at it, Dickie. We're with you. Cardinal John Tudor has made some kind of turnaround from a 1-7 start this year. He beat the Dodgers for win number 8 in a row as St. Louis kept hold of first place in the East. The Cards also boast the major's first 15-game winner in Joaquin Andujar. Fact is, Andujar, Tudor, and number 3 man Danny Cox combined for more wins than any other starting trio in the majors. No wonder the Redbirds are rolling. Pitching to Kansas City's George Brett is really risky business. With a .350 average and 56 RBIs, it's no surprise that Brett leads the majors in intentional walks with 16. Gary Templeton of San Diego has received 15 intentional free passes, including 4 in one game to tie a Major League mark. Now, for this week's quiz, can you name the player who holds the Major League record for most intentional walks in one season? Stay tuned, and we'll be right back after a brief stretch. American League View. In New York, no cure for the homesick Twins. Life on the road has not been very kind to the Minnesota Twins. Here's pitcher Mike Smithson with his explanation.
You know, it's really tough winning baseball games on the road because everything is so inconsistent. You know, you either have to sit around in your room all day and play solitaire, usually just lay around and get bored, and by the time you get to the ballpark, you have everything besides baseball on your mind.
New York's 24-10 record at home made Yankee Stadium no place for the road-weary Twins. Ron Guidry made that clear in the opener when he won number 9 in a row. Later, he added his 10th straight to lead the league with 11 wins. Next night, more woes for the Twins, as red-hot Rickey Henderson kept his mercury on the rise against Minnesota's poor pitching. Henderson went 3 for 3, including home run number 11, and his league-leading batting average was flirting with the .360 mark. That win boosted New York's record against Western Division teams to 16-2, but the Yankees weren't through. In Game 1 of a doubleheader, Dave Winfield finished off the Twins with a dramatic 11th-inning home run for a 3-2 win. Altogether, Winfield wrapped out 5 of New York's 25 hits in the doubleheader. The Yankee who really got a handle on Twin pitching in the nightcap was Ken Griffey, who drove in 6 runs with 2 3-run homers. With that, the Yankees swept the series. extended Minnesota's losing streak to 6 games and said so long to a Twins team still seeking a cure for those homesick blues. Time now for some Tiger talk from one of Detroit's big wheels.
I know I'm a winner. I love to win. I step on this field for one reason, that's to win. I cannot stand losing. I don't always hold my emotions in. I'm better than I used to be. I'm just an emotional player, a very intense player, and some people enjoy it and some people don't. That makes no difference to me. I do what it takes to win.
On the day I was born, the nurses all gathered round, and they gazed in wide wonder at the joy they had found. The head nurse spoke up.
Come on, you're a good hitter. Let's go.
Leave this one alone. She could tell right away that I was bad to the bone. Bad to the bone. Bad. Bad to the bone.
Big, bad Kirk Gibson is sure bad news to opposing pitchers, batting above .280 and among league leaders with 17 homers and 57 RBIs. Also near the top in extra base hits and total bases. But Gibby hasn't always been good news to Tiger fans. As a rookie in 1980, he struggled under the pressure of great expectations.
When things were going wrong, sometimes I got down on myself too much and it affected my play later in the game. You just have to keep a positive attitude in this game because it always gives you a chance to redeem yourself. Sparky and the people in this organization and the good players I've been around, they've taught me how to play the game. And I know when to take chances in the field. I know when to try and throw a guy out at the plate. I know when to throw the ball into second base. That's the way the game is to be played. And as before I didn't know, and it was all raw, and I was totally out of control. So now I think I've got a cap on things.
Gibson blew the cap off San Diego's Goose Gossage in the final game of last year's World Series. A 3-run 8th-inning wallop that virtually secured the championship for Detroit.
After that home run, I think everybody on our team and in the stands, they knew it, that it was over. I think that pretty much sealed it. And after I crossed home plate, I jumped up in the air with my hands because it'd been such a long year and there was so much tension mounted up, and it was just a release for me.
Released from the shadow of doubt that once haunted him, Gibson is now in full swing. Now, let's swing over to the American League starting lineup for the '85 All-Star Game. In left, Boston's Jim Rice. In center, Yankee Rickey Henderson. In right, teammate Dave Winfield. At first, Baltimore's Eddie Murray. At second, Detroit's Lou Whitaker. At short, Orioles' Cal Ripken. At third, Kansas City's George Brett. And catching, Tiger Lance Parrish. Managing will be Detroit's Sparky Anderson. Now, let's review this week in baseball's TWIB notes from around the American League. Angel rookie Kirk McCaskill has displayed divine skill. He beat Boston for win number 4, increasing California's first-place lead in the West. But McCaskill almost traded fastballs for slap shots. An All-American hockey player at the University of Vermont, he was drafted by Winnipeg of the National Hockey League, but chose to stick with baseball. The Royals hadn't won a game at Yankee Stadium since the end of the infamous Pine Tar game in August of '83, but they broke the 9-game losing streak with a 5-2 win. Next night, 39-year-old Hal McRae collected career RBI number 1,000, but Kansas City lost 6-4. Willie Stretch McCovey, former Giant first baseman, received a record-breaking 45 intentional walks in his MVP year of 1969. By the way, a separate statistic for intentional walks has been recorded only since 1955. Boston's Ted Williams. He set the American League mark with 33 intentional free passes in 1957 when he hit .388. Hey fans, check this out. Baseball and television are made for each other. But sometimes big leaguers act up off the field, like Philadelphia's Mike Schmidt, who's been the focus of attention on a popular daytime soap opera.
We saw a member of the Save the Athenaeum Foundation, and they were driving by and saw these guys coming out of a demolition truck.
Tough roll, Mike. In Houston recently, the pregame warm-up included stars from Search for Tomorrow, who heard Astro players Frank DiPino, Jim Pankovitz, and Bill Dawley audition for a part on the show.
In the theater, we warm up before we perform, at least a show. Warm up, loosen up, fellas. That's it. That's it. Get loose, loose. Now, a witch has a witch laugh. So we'll start with a little laugh first, okay? Cue. More. Double.
Speech right there that you don't have written down on your cue card, that's yours.
One at a time.
Eye of a newt in toe of a frog, wool of a bat and tongue of dog, adder's fork and blind worm's sting, lizard's leg and owlet's wing.
For a charm of powerful trouble, like a hell broth boil and bubble.
Okay. So it's going to be Frank DiPino, who will be on Search for Tomorrow.
Congratulations, Frank. Don't worry about it, Mr. Shakespeare. You're a tough act to follow, but we'll try with defensive dramatics, infield acrobatics, leading off with Texas Ranger Wayne Tollison. The Houston Astros, Bill Doran. Boston's Glenn Hoffman. A Blue Jay rebound off Willie Upshaw to Manny Lee. Bill Dawley, another Astro. Pete Rose, Cincinnati Reds. California Angel Rod Carew. Teammate Doug DeCinces and Carew again. A barehander by Damaso Garcia, Toronto. Los Angeles Dodger Mariano Duncan. The Angels again with Bob Boone. The White Sox, Ozzie Guillen. And an encore by Houston's Bill Doran. Now, let's get on the ball with off-the-wall plays. Bizarre sights are standard fare at big league ballparks everywhere. Is this for real? Have no doubt, strange happenings to laugh about. Kansas City's Willie Wilson went for the ball, but it's a ground rule double, stuck in the wall. Dodger R.J. Reynolds had a notion, steal a homer in one quick motion. But the ball does bounce, and the home run counts. Teammate Mariano Duncan bunted the ball, and off it went on a slow crawl. The Cards waited, but the ball hesitated, confirming a Cardinal fear, Duncan's third bunt double of the year. Catcher Sal Butera took the mound when Montreal was too far down. As for his pitches, they put the park in stitches. Angel rookie Bob Kipper had a man on first base who broke for second in great big haste. But Kipper caught the catcher's throw, and that's how the A's stole the base and the show. Blue Jay Tony Fernandez wanted time, had to decline, and he doubled down the line. In California, fielder's choice put Gary Pettis on third, all set to roam. But with the Ranger catcher involved, then who was at home? The third base coach wondered too, so he sent Pettis before anyone knew. The catcher tried to beat him to the plate, but the speedy Pettis made the catcher too late. Expo Steve Nicosia hit a ground rule double that put the Braves in a bit of trouble. But just a minute, that's not all. Question is, where's the ball? Man alive, it's going down the drain. And folks, that's the end of our refrain. This week, Old Spice salutes Carlton Fisk of the Chicago White Sox. Pudge put on a shower of power with 2 homers in a win over Detroit. The second was a grand slam, his 21st homer this year, to tie for the Major League lead and number 251 of his career, second only to Yogi Berra for most career homers by an American League catcher. Congratulations, Pudge. And that's all for now, folks. See you next week on This Week in Baseball.